Thursday edition of PFT OT, the last we will see from Chris Sims in this setting until we return from our 3-week hiatus. For Chris, it's 3 weeks and a day because he doesn't work on Fridays, but that's fine. The 49ers worked as effectively as anyone last season, Chris, getting to the brink of a championship, up 10 points with 7 minutes left in Super Bowl 54, and then it all fell apart, as we all know by now. So they go back to what Dennis Green called the Valley of 0 and 0, and I think it's very important to be realistic about what that means. And what it definitely means, when we look at the history of the past 54 Super Bowls, when you lose that game, it is very difficult to get back to that game. And it's almost unprecedented to get back and win that game. The Dolphins did it in Super Bowl 7. The Patriots did it in Super Bowl 53, 1 year after they had lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. Other than that, it has not happened. And I say all of that because the 49ers had a State of the Franchise event yesterday, and Kyle Shanahan said this: I know we were good enough to win the Super Bowl last year, and we didn't, and that's something we have to live with. And that's why the state of this franchise right now is we've got to get back to that moment. We got to get right back to that fourth quarter and get to have a lead, and we've got to finish the job. And the reason that I'm stunned by the fact that he said that is because I have so much respect for Kyle Shanahan. He's one of the great coaches in football right now. He's potentially going to be remembered as one of the great coaches of all time if he keeps doing it for another 25 or 30 years. The worst thing you can do going into a season is set unrealistic expectations. And the worst message you can send to your locker room is, we want to fast forward to the point where it went off the rails for us last year. When you start thinking about that moment and getting back to that moment, I guarantee you, you're never going to get back to that moment because everyone's gunning for you this year, Chris. Everyone's coming after you. You've got to dig out of 0 and 0 in a division that has the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Cardinals. Don't think about what you're going to do in Super Bowl 55 with 10 minutes left. Think about what you got to do week 1 out of the gates. You got to build the house brick by brick to even have a chance to play a playoff game, much less the Super Bowl. So this, to me, when I saw those quotes, I was blown away because I would expect it from Freddie Kitchens. I would expect it from a lesser coach. This is the last thing I expected from your good friend Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, well, listen, I can't say that I sit here and really can say I would expect him to say that either, right? I mean, yeah, even being my good friend and knowing who he is, was I a little shocked that he said it when I first saw it? Yeah, okay, I was. But the more I thought about it, the more I just go, well, this is my buddy. This is who he is. He's confident, and he does set goals like that for himself. And even within saying broad statements like that, you know, first off, he's a different coach than most. He is. He's a little bit more honest. He's wired a different way. I know he's extremely honest with his players and his team and everything that way. And I think where Kyle Shanahan can be different in this way, to where he can make a broad statement like that, is he's a psycho. I've known him for a long, long time. Any coach that has coached for him would tell you, like, woo, you got to work for Kyle. He's tough. He's demanding. He is like that every day. So I think he can make those type of comments because he knows that he is going to challenge himself and his team on a daily basis to get better and better that way. And he's hoping it leads to that ultimate goal. Yeah, it's rare that you hear coaches say stuff like that, especially established ones. But, you know, I do go back to his honesty. You know, and he expects and drafts players, like we've talked about, that it's pedal to the metal. Oh, coach, you want me to run through the wall? Okay, I won't even think about it. And we kind of saw and felt that energy when we were there in San Francisco for that divisional playoff game. I think you, me, and Rodney Harrison were like, whoa, this is a confident team. Like, are they too confident? This is unbelievable. And I think that's a little bit of the Shanahan factor, and one, evaluating the type of players and talent he wants on his team, but two, that's how he wants his guys to think, and that's how he thinks. And I think he's capable of doing that without losing the day-to-day, details and, what do I want to say, motivating factors to make that day its best, so you can ultimately reach that end goal. So, but I hear you, Mike. I was a little surprised too.
During the show today, we were talking about your quarterback rankings. Patrick Mahomes at number 1. Would we take Mahomes or the field for next year? And one of the reasons I went field is there's too much unpredictability this season. There's too many factors. The coronavirus situation potentially will derail entire franchises, right? So that's another reason to not fall into this trap of trying to will your way back to that moment when you're up 10 points with 7 minutes to go in the Super Bowl. There are too many uncertainties. There are too many variables. And I understand this was a state of the franchise event, and there's a certain amount of hip, hip, hooray that goes on.
Right.
John Lynch, the GM of the team, said some things too. But, this is one of the things that drives me crazy. And every team does this, no matter how good or bad they are. Where you want to win the Super Bowl this year, you can't define success by winning the Super Bowl. I know they all have to say it to get their fans engaged. And I think that's what this is. And that may be how Kyle fell into the trap, because he's expected to say something that's going to rally the fans. And what rallies the fans more than saying, we're going to get back to where we were last year, and this time we're going to deliver? It's just a very, very dangerous bar to set when you are in the best division in football, when everyone is going to be coming after you, when you have a quarterback who tore his ACL in week 3 2 years ago and could do it again, right? And there's already enough pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo as it is to create this presumption they're going to end up right back where they were last year. What if they start off 1-3? I remember the year after the Vikings went 15-1, and there was an anticipation when they should have beaten the Falcons in the NFC Championship game. It was just unfinished business, and they'd be fine, and everything would be. They started off like 1-3 and 2-4, and it was panic because everybody just expected they're going to be just what they were last year. And if we've learned nothing about the NFL over the past really 50 years, you can't assume that what happened last year is going to happen again this year. And I think it's more important in the post-free agency days. Back in the 70s, the Steelers are going to be great again. What a shock. In today's NFL, especially with this pandemic, you cannot assume that what happened last year is going to happen this year. And I was surprised. And look, and again, the reason I was so surprised is because I have so much respect for Kyle Shanahan. This seems so out of character for him, and he probably regrets that he said it the way he said it, and he's going to have to get his players to think very differently. And I doubt that this is the message he's going to have all year long. We just got to get back to the Super Bowl. The hard part is getting back. The hardest part, that's what makes it so cruel to the 49ers and their fan base, Chris. All the work was put in. The hay was in the barn. All the effort was to get to a 10-point lead with 7 minutes left. The easy part is finishing the job. So, I just look, you give me the 49ers or the field in the NFC to get back to the Super Bowl, I'm definitely taking the field.
Yeah, Mike, I hear you. I think that's, a lot of logical thoughts. There's no doubt about that. I think, maybe, Kyle did get caught up in the fanfare and the moment and things like that. I think, one thing is, when they get together as a football team at the starting training camp, he's going to set forth the goals and the things that need to be done, and he'll break it down more into then just, we got to get back to the Super Bowl, right? That's what coaches do. It's going to be about getting better every day in training camp, then, winning the division. And then if you don't win the division, getting to the playoffs. There'll be a set of goals there that he hopes that will, ultimately lead his team to getting back to the Super Bowl and finishing the job. Now, 2 other things. One, their early season schedule does set them up, I think, to get that confidence going and feeling good again. Again, I think we could sit here and go, yes, we know the Cardinals are dangerous, but I just look at it and go, I feel very confident right now in June of 2020 that the 49ers are better than the Cardinals, the Jets, the Giants, and the Dolphins. And those are 4 of their first 5 games. So they could get off to a good start. And, Mike, the other thing we've talked about, I know you and I, in this pandemic year, the 49ers are one of those teams that didn't have a ton of changeover. They got a lot of the pieces back and things like that, to where I don't think there has to be any of that growing. And then, of course, Shanahan has the ultimate confidence in his ability to make things easy for his quarterback and his offense to begin with, to where I do think they're one of the teams that are set up, to not be necessarily as screwed up maybe as other teams are by the lack of an offseason and an OTA and training camp. So those are some things in their favor. But like you've said, this is a big obstacle to overcome. When you lose a Super Bowl, traditionally you have Super Bowl hangover and you don't play great the next year.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kyle Shanahan and Bill Belichick have a ton of respect for each other, and I know how Bill Belichick would handle this. What happened last year does not matter. It does not matter. Nothing that happened last year carries over to this year. None of the wins, none of the points, none of the anything that we did last year. If anything, what we did last year makes it harder to win this year because everybody wants to beat us even more this year than they did last year. And think about how close so many of those games were. Think about what Week 17 came down to. How easily it could have gone the other way, and the 49ers would have been the 5 seed going on the road in the wild card round versus going home and getting a pair of games there. That's how narrow the gap is between them and the Seahawks right now. And then you've got the Cardinals that are rising. You've got the Rams that are still coached by Sean McVay. And look, that Saturday night game against the Rams, the rabbit they had to pull out of the hat twice.
Yeah,
with
sure.
the 3rd and long that they converted on the same drive 2 different times. It's a season of 16 games is an extended collection of moments, and all it takes is 1 or 2 of those moments to turn the other way. And for the 49ers, you're just one. You could pick 6 or 7 different moments. You turn that one the other way, and they ain't in the Super Bowl. Forget about holding a 10-point lead with 7 minutes left. They're not even there. So that's what he's got to tell his team. And he better hope his team didn't see the comments that he made last night, because he's got to put that toothpaste back in the tube. And he's got to get these guys to realize this is a new house. It's not built. And we got to start laying bricks today, Chris.
Right.
So anyway,
no,
and I think
I'm
they
with
will.
you.
I think they will. But this doesn't. This because it's not a failure. If they don't make it to the Super Bowl, this shouldn't be a failure of a season. He's creating a scenario where if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, it's a failure. It's not a failure. The success is creating a team that's going to contend every year for as long as Kyle's the coach. That's the good news. You're not going to win it every year, and don't expect to win it every year. Anyway.
No, Mike, I agree with all you said. Only thing I'll say just to finish it off is he is a different breed of a coach. He is, and he does. I don't think he's already breaking the molds, and we don't even know, because I can't tell you all the things he does that are cutting edge behind the scenes for his team and things like that to begin with. But yeah, he's a little different mold of the Bill Belichick, old school, even Mike Shanahan. He would have never probably made a comment like that or said anything like that too. And I don't think Kyle was trying to make a prediction, but yes, was caught up in a moment, does have great confidence in his team and himself and all those things, and probably was just trying to fire up the fan base a little bit. But I hear you. It's just very rare you hear a coach say those type of things. But he's a different kind of coach, I'll tell you that.
Well, we'll see how it goes. And we hope that he gets his first of many championship rings sooner rather than later. This isn't a knock on the team. It's just one of those subtle things about setting expectations and getting your team in the right mindset. And it's one of the things that Bill Belichick lives by. And I think Kyle Shanahan's got the chance to become another Bill Belichick. This is just one of those things where you got to be careful, because it really does set a tone that is unfortunate, that is too aspirational and impossible, especially amid a pandemic, to have any real confidence you're going to achieve. All right, that's it for PFTOT. That's it for Chris Sims. He's done. He's gone until we return in late July. 3 weeks and 1 day off for you. But, I will say this. I mentioned this earlier. Over the next 3 weeks, I get 15 days off. You only get 12 days off. So I got a better vacation than you do.
Well, how did that work out? Why? Just because you mean am I not
because
working
I work
Fridays? Yes.
For you get 12 days off because you otherwise would already have the other 3. You were scared there for a second. You thought I was getting more time than you. No, but for me, I get it because I get Friday. You don't work Friday anyway. Now I don't work Friday for 3 weeks.
I work Fridays.
Hey,
I'll see you later.
I've worked every day since January 1, 2004. Every day.
Okay, Bill. Bill Belichick.
No days off. No days off.
No days off.
Take some days off.
Okay,
we'll
fine.
see you. We'll see you at PFT Live on Friday. See you, Chris.
See ya.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.